Happy,
Hey,
what is it today? Thursday? Happy Thursday, you guys. Welcome back, day 2. I'm with Mark from the Maid Shop. Hi, Mark. Oh, hold for your coffee.
no, not at all. How are you doing, Ellie?
I'm good. I'm so excited for today. We had so much fun yesterday. Honestly, it was probably one of my favorite streams. It was just such a fun project and really fun to hang out with you. So day 2 is going to be great.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. Say hi in the chat. Let us know if you were here yesterday. Looks like we have some people joining. We have Victor, Yurtmaya, Christoph, Voodoo Val, of course, Mallory, Enrique, Golden Rose. So many people joining. Thank you so much. Feel free to say hi and feel free to ask questions throughout the stream. We want to hear from you guys. And if you're watching on YouTube, make sure to come over to Behance so that we can actually engage with you and answer your questions. If you're chatting on YouTube, we won't be able to see it. And we want to make sure that we get to everyone's questions. So come on over to behance.net/Adobe Live and say hi over here. I got Robert joining. And cool. Michelle. Well, Mark, do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself again for anyone who missed yesterday? We can take a look at your work, and if you want to just walk us through that one more time.
Yeah, definitely. Welcome, everyone, and welcome back to people who were here yesterday. For those of you who weren't, my name's Marke Johnson, and I'm founder and creative director of The Maid Shop. And I've got our website up. This running loop, I think, gives a little bit of a sense of the mischief we get up to. We call ourselves a shape-shifting design studio. As I was saying yesterday, we're sort of unapologetic generalists, and we have a small team. I'll actually hop over and quickly show you the team and introduce them. And that's I think this photo is actually a nice segue to the project we started yesterday. Yeah, so here's the team. That's me in the middle, my wife and co-founder to my left, and my best friend since high school, Adam, to the right. Then working outwards, my brother Zach and Nathan. Zach on the left, Nathan on the right. And then on the far left, that's Kyle Hunninghake. He's a project designer, and our newest project designer on the far right, Michelle Merlin, who actually earlier in the summer, as we were in the midst of COVID and brainstorming ways to use our time when clients weren't knocking down the door, we were brainstorming all sorts of things, but Michelle actually had the idea to do what we're working on now, which is these sort of fake products based on these anagrams of our name. So the Maid Shop is our name, but we sort of playing into that shape-shifting nature, this fact that one day we might be making a music video, the next day doing packaging, the next day doing interior design or signage. We actually kind of remix our name as though we're sort of, we're a little hard to pin down, I guess. So yeah, that's our team. That's a little bit about what we do. I guess I didn't show any of our work. I'll just quickly
we'd love
give
to see.
sense of past work before diving back in. So my internet seems to be running a little slow today. Yeah, I'm just going to scroll through this and talk a little bit about the variety of work we do. This whiskey sour we did, Ed Helms works with the bluegrass situation, and they did this really cool happy hour during the beginning of the pandemic, and we got to do the branding for that. They had some really cool artists coming on. We do a lot of work in hospitality. So Justine is a great restaurant in New Orleans. Double Dealer, also in New Orleans, is a bar. This is a new hotel in El Paso called The Plaza that we did. I mentioned this one yesterday, but 7 years ago, we got to work on remixing the Adobe logo. And that's been one of our favorite projects indefinitely.
Cool.
And then we work in films, as I said, we do album covers, traditional branding, we do some weird object design and packaging. Stranahan's and Sweet Bloom are two of our favorite packaging projects that are not fake and ridiculous, like the one we're working on today. But yeah, I think that's a good overview. Maybe we can hop back to talk a bit about what we did yesterday and what we're gonna do today.
Yeah, for sure. Megan says, love the anagram project. So fun and really enjoy seeing work from makers in my town. That's so cool.
Must be nice. Must be in
Colorado.
Denver.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. If anyone missed yesterday's stream, you can watch the replay. I highly recommend it. It was really, really fun stream. So many good tips, so much good information. So make sure you watch that if you missed it. And yeah, this is what you were working on. So we can go ahead and jump into that.
Yeah, I'll give a quick summary for people who weren't here yesterday. So based on those anagrams, we're making fake products and packaging for these completely made up products that come from the anagram. So yesterday, here's some of the sketches we made before we started, and yesterday this head mops one we focused in on. I'll show you where we landed in a second, but the idea is sort of take each of these anagrams and then treat them as though they're this sort of the vibe we were after is this kind of generic. We were talking about it as like almost like a consumerism vernacular, like leaning into kind of lo-fi design without designers aesthetic. And actually that's what I hopped over here. So we built, to start everything off, we sort of built a mood board and started identifying different pieces of this vibe, things like really generic and forgettable type, an overall cheap plasticky aesthetic, sort of details like barcodes and trademarks and scare quotes used improperly, like getting into a kind of a copywriting ad speak voice. We established our color palette and that, here's where we landed. We made this little piece. And actually, for anyone who was here yesterday, you'll notice if you're eagle-eyed that I couldn't help myself from making a few more changes. We did some exploration about, we kind of knew where we were heading. We wanted a really generic and forgettable sans serif for our headline, and then an OCR, optical character recognition typeface for our subhead, something that felt sort of machine readable and in some ways a little bit almost anti-human. This is a silly project. At the same time, it's sort of a tongue-in-cheek critique of consumerism or capitalism gone rogue, branding yourself and some of those conflicts. So actually, for those of you who were here yesterday, the changes I made, I was feeling like for such a simple project, 3 typefaces was overkill. And I wanted to kind of spotlight Untitled Sans more. So we were using that as our body copy, and I actually bumped that up to our display instead of Franklin Gothic. And then for both our subhead and body, I'm using OCR, and I feel like a 2 typeface. It just feels a little bit more lo-fi and generic and less complicated for what we're after. So small changes there. And then, so this is essentially a die line we generated from Dimension, and we'll be doing that for a couple more products we're going to build today. And I'll show you again how to do that, generate this sort of unfolded version of any 3D model, and then a design on it. And then I wanted today to show the simpler way, which is actually just using sort of stickers or decals, because that can be really effective and it's a little bit less complicated than what we did yesterday. And I think it's worth looking at that too. So yeah, I'll show you where we ended up. I couldn't help myself from doing a little more work on this too. So yeah, we rendered this in Dimension, and then I brought it over into Photoshop to add in the mop, which was the one item we didn't have as a 3D model. And then I actually re-rendered or comped in this plastic because the plastic wasn't reading quite how I wanted it to.
Really crinkly now in a good way. Yeah.
So yeah, this is what we're doing. We're making fake semi-serious, very lo-fi generic packaging for a ridiculous series of products. Great. Awesome. Any questions or thoughts before we dive in to designing today? Any?
Yeah, Christoph says, I love those extremely oversimplified packaging designs like the luncheon loaf.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was saying yesterday, that luncheon loaf, it really started the whole thing for me.
It's so good.
We built the entire mood board essentially around this guy. And just as lo-fi as you can get. I wanted to point this out yesterday, but the Dharma, if you watch Lost back when it was airing or whenever, I feel like the whole series of products that they had in their bunker like exemplified this well, because it's so uniform. It's this, and I kind of, this is maybe not quite the right image for it. They're if you see all the different, they have cans and beer and everything, and it all looks the same. So yesterday we got one of these. I think the goal today will be to move a little faster on the design side, because we're not building out the aesthetic, and try to get 2 or maybe even 3 more models into a vignette, so that we see all these different packages, and sort of they have this complete uniformity, but then except in what they're holding, which couldn't be more distinct.
Yeah. Cool. It's gonna be fun. Yeah, let's get started.
Great.
And any questions you guys have, feel free to ask them. And Mark has so much knowledge, so pick his brain while you got him.
Great. So I think today let's start in dimension, and I've updated our scene. I did a little work this morning from where we were. So yesterday we had the stage curtains and just the one model, and I've started bringing in this box, which I want to use this for dash poem, and I'm pitching this as this like overly elaborate sealed like poetry magazine. So it's in these like plastic packages, but then you'll open one of those and you have this little pamphlet of dash poems, which are famous poems written in Morse code. Is where
very
we
useful.
Landed. Yeah. And then I think I want to get in both sham dope, which is our fake marijuana. We're going to have oregano in a package. And then dope hams, which is going to be some sort of, I found a great model in Adobe's stock library of a ham. And we had that box we looked at yesterday, which I'm just going to start bringing that in now. So I built a little library here for myself of some 3D models I've licensed. That's where we started. And I'm going to bring in this ham one, which Ellie was mentioning that it has this slight oven quality. And I think we kind of want to lean into that. So it's similar to our head mops package, but I like this window that wraps. And I think even in the design, we can almost like maybe even put in some dials. I don't know, that might be breaking some of our aesthetic rules, but it feels too fun to pass up. So this will probably be our largest item because it's going to be a ham. And I think I want it to actually be square.
Yeah, that would make sense. They're kind of like, squarish usually.
Squarish, yeah. Actually, let's just bring in that ham model that I mentioned and see how it works. So yesterday I was saying all of these models, there it is.
I can't believe they have that.
There's a few of them like that. Like there's the expected things, but oh my God,
oh, wow.
So we have the ham in a box. I do want to brainstorm, like, what is it about this that is dope? Because that I still don't know. Like, what, like, is it bedazzled, or is it like somehow wearing a leather jacket, or
oh my
is
gosh.
it using the sham dope, like a 2-for-1 package. So anyway, anyone in the chat
let
who
us
has
know your thoughts, you guys.
ideas.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think the idea today is to spend more time in Dimension, sort of building a vignette, and then we'll hop over to Illustrator to do some of the packaging layout work to map back onto these. And then what was the other? Oh, I have two options for sham dope. One is actually it's a battery pack. All these models are coming in on the floor. I'm bringing them up to the table. A little tip I was mentioning yesterday in Dimension, if you grab this center node of the move widget, it's called Move Align to Surface, and it's super useful for navigating and setting up scenes because everything is sort of magnetically snapped to whatever surface is nearby. So I was thinking this could be funny if we took out the batteries and put the oregano in here. That I think is maybe a funny way to buy fake dope. And then this model I found. It's a penne pasta, but it's the closest model to that kind of cheap plastic packaging that has the folded cardboard top. So maybe we can look at both these. If anyone has any immediate thoughts in the chat between these,
let us know.
Let me know. I think one of these though should be our sham dope.
Yeah.
And then that may be enough. The one other thought I did have, and I grabbed, it's maybe a little macabre, and maybe it's just that it's Christmas time, but for Posh Dame, I was thinking that might be like mannequin like pieces sold as a set. So if you remember the Christmas Story leg, that's definitely inspired. But I was thinking, I found this box as well, this tall, thin, almost like Barbie style box. This is probably, I'm biting off more than we can chew today in terms of getting branding onto all of this.
Sure.
But let's shoot for the let's shoot for the stars.
We had a suggestion for the ham. Well, Deving says, let's go ham on this. And then Ricky says, what about a fat gold chain on the ham? Like that's dope.
That is dope.
That's pretty good.
I think that might be it. I mean, let us know if anyone has ideas that top that, but that's
pretty good.
A ham with a chain on it is
ham
great.
With a chain.
So I'm gonna group these. So you can group any model, any set of models, and then your widget applies to the whole thing. So now that's an object. I'm gonna want to do that to our ham as well. And there is some, you have some editability. You can build your own models in any modeling program. I use SketchUp, which has a great free version when I'm wanting to make my own. There's such a deep library though of assets you can download from Adobe, and then you have a fair amount. So this ham, I want to get rid of the rope. If you open up the folder on the ham, the rope's here, and I'm just going to turn it off in case we want to bring it back, and then scale the whole thing slightly down to fit in here.
Nice.
That's feeling pretty good.
Tony says the dope ham could have graffiti on it too.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
Actually, you know what? We could almost combine the two, do the gold chain and then do like tattoos
on the ham.
On the ham. Like I feel like that's dope.
I love that.
So now I've grouped these, and this just feels like a lot of marijuana, the penne pasta.
Yeah.
Even if it's fake.
I
feel like the batteries is more funny, and it gives us a sense of scale.
I feel like it fits with the other packaging really well too.
Yeah, I feel like this is our lineup. So we've got head mops. We're gonna have dash poem being these like plastic pouched poetry magazines, dope hams, we need to get a gold chain, which maybe we'll do in Photoshop, or maybe I can quickly find a piece of stock model for that. This one was Posh Dame, which might actually be like a series, because we also have this mannequin heads, which we were using.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the vibe. Like, so this vignette I want to create is that all the whole background is this deep red. We were sort of liking the idea of elevating what is this really cheap utilitarian packaging, and like staging it though as though it's like super lush and gorgeous, almost this Twin Peaks or Lynchian style scene. And then the black model I was liking, and we ended up bringing this plant we changed the base to black. So I kind of feel like there'll be objects that are always black, a scene that's always red, and then all of our packaging pops as white. And that's kind of the rules we can follow to make sure this is nice and simple. This is starting to feel like The Last Supper or something.
Yeah, it kind of is.
And we'll arrange this much better. Sorry, no, jump in.
Oh, no. Golden Rose just said pork skin is used to practice tattooing. So it kind of fits.
That's right. That's really cool.
Yeah.
I love that. So let's see. I feel like, I found this hand that matches the head, which I was thinking it could be near our dope.
Yeah.
Our sham dope. And again, I feel like I'm maybe just advertising for the depth of Adobe stock library, but I found a joint.
Oh my gosh.
And
they have anything. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible. A ham of funny glasses and this joint. So I was thinking this hand could like be holding the joint near the sham dope. Getting a warning that my internet connection is unstable. Let me know if there's any issues. And then this should be at a little jaunty angle. And then we'll group that. Add some smoke to this later in Photoshop, I think. And then I'm gonna, even though the scale is not gonna be totally accurate, I'm gonna slightly overscale this, because once we take the batteries out, we won't know what's supposed to be in there. And actually, let's just do that now. Grab these 4 batteries, and I'm just gonna delete them. Okay. And then I found oregano too.
Oh my goodness.
It's really
it's so crazy.
I keep getting to these points where I'm like, they're not gonna have this, and they do.
They thought of it all. The sham dope kind of reminds me of it makes me think of In the Office. I don't know if you watch it, but when Michael's trying to frame Toby, and it's like I think it's like salad or something. It ends up being like basil or something like that, and he's trying to frame him, get him fired.
It's so great.
It's so good.
We've been rewatching it during pandemic. It just feels right for that.
It does. So good.
All right, this pile's, the gravity's not going to be totally correct, but
sure,
I think it's gonna be close enough.
We can imagine.
And then we'll scale down a little. Actually, this looks, I mean, it's not bad.
Caprese salad. Yeah, Michelle. It was a caprese salad, I think.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
You can scale. So when you have the normal widget, which you would have if you have your move tool and any object selected, it's this widget lets you do just about any movement or rotation or scale or that snap to surface move. But if you hit S for scale, you'll get just the scale tool, and then you can scale ununiformly.
Oh, nice.
Whereas with the move tool, if you scale, it's gonna by default move uniformly, which I love that when that's a default, because I've got something, I mean, as we all do, against non-uniform scaling.
Yeah.
Great. So getting the basics of this scene, we'll just keep playing and getting a better arrangement. I already feel like having the two big boxes next to each other is feeling off balanced.
Right.
So we might want to, that's starting to, this leg in a box is making me laugh. Great. So I think first I want to just get all the materials for the packaging uniform, and I'll show you a few tips for that. So you can grab any model by clicking on it and then come over to this panel to drill down into its components. So this group I made, it's got the ham and the box, and you can drill into the box to get the screen or the box itself. Now that I've already done that, I'll use the eyedropper tool to copy this texture we made yesterday, the paper texture. Nice. So that's super simple, and those are linked. So any changes I make to that material later will apply to anything that has it, unless we were to unlink them. So that's super nice.
How would you unlink them in case you wanted to?
I actually did that just in setting up this scene, because the table and the backdrop had the same felt texture, but I stretched this table like massively ununiformly, and then the material stretches with that. So suddenly the felt texture was quite elongated in one direction. So what I did, I'll grab that. You click this little right arrow on any object, and that'll take you into its properties. Here's the felt. Where are your properties, Phil? I feel like my computer is actually fighting me.
It knows you're live. It's like...
Yeah. Come on. I wonder if I have overloaded this scene. I've definitely built more complicated scenes than this.
Well, that's okay. So you would just click in there, and then you'd be able to like link and unlink from the properties.
Yeah, there's a simple. Wow, yeah, there's a huge lag. This might become a problem. I'm sorry about that.
It's all right. It happens to all of us.
Yeah, I'm wondering. I'm gonna take a few things out of this, like the plant, which I think is a complicated model.
Yeah, I can always add it back in later.
Yeah. Yeah. Let me save and restart, and we can hop over and do a little bit of work in Illustrator. Some of the labels and stickers that we're going to put on this stuff.
Sounds good. We've all experienced it, so we get it.
Yeah. From the feed while we're dealing with this slight jitter.
Yeah, well, we have an office comment. Voodoo Val says that's her favorite bit, tied with Dwight having a wig for everyone in the office. The gif of him turning around and all the wigs kills me.
So good.
So good. So good. But yeah, if you guys have questions, while we work out these little kinks, let us know. Yeah. Great. It's all just part of the process.
So yeah, while we restart, I'm going to hop back to Illustrator. So yesterday I'll re-show again for one option how we did this UV map, but the UV map you can think of as a die line, and we brought that in through Photoshop and laid everything out on that. But I think for that dash poem stand, I think it's so simple that we really can just make a little sticker for the front of it. And then maybe we'll put some barcodes on the side, and I'll show you how we can essentially do the layout in Dimension instead of laying it out in Illustrator for the die line. And you get sort of ease of use and speed working this way. And it's kind of a matter of like precision versus speed, and both, just depending on the project, are well worthwhile. So I'm just going to grab this and I'm going to go to export selection. And I'm going to export that. I think I'm just going to do all this stuff to the desktop, so you guys don't have to see my over elaborate file organization. Clean up afterwards. Great. Gonna export that.
You saved your work, right? Everyone is concerned.
Oh yeah, I did.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, we'll see in a second, but yes.
Yes. Okay.
All right, 619 megabytes. That's a big dimension file. Something.
That's pretty big, yeah.
Something in here. I wonder. This is a little beyond my knowledge if you can look at a single model to know how many facets it has, because there might be just one model in here that's dragging the whole thing down. If we could identify.
That would be really helpful if you could do that to identify which ones are more complex.
Yeah. Well, yeah, if this is overcomplicated, I think we'll just break it apart and work simpler, just so we're not running into lag throughout the rest of today. Great.
Arabella says, this is so mesmerizing to watch. I may just have to go and explore in Dimension.
It's so fun. I highly recommend.
Yeah.
I only recently learned it. And this year, actually, I was saying this a bit yesterday, but part of this is motivated from the pandemic, and we haven't been able to do any proper product photo shoots in our shop with lights and people and real things. And so I spent part of 2020 learning Dimension, partly just for fun and partly as a real practical solution to the fact that we need to do fake product shoots instead of real ones now. I'm going to bring in Sham Dope too.
In about an hour, we're going to have an artist spotlight. And if you guys notice above the chat, there is a tab that says artist spotlight, and you can click there if you want to nominate someone else or yourself to be a spotlighted artist. So make sure to check that out.
All right, we're moving a little quicker now.
Cool.
So yeah, with skipping the whole UV map thing, I'm going to show you how to just write dash poems right on the front of this box, which is super simple. And then another great tool, this is where I was at before we got slowed down, but you can pick this magic wand tool, and that lets you select directly any face of a model within it. So that's sort of the alternative to drilling down within this panel on the right. So I'm going to grab that, and I'm going to go into its properties, and down here is the sticker button. Go to my desktop and those assets, open that, and then here it is. So you see it doesn't obviously come in as cleanly as that UV map we did, but it's so much faster and simpler. And then you've got widgets around this, so we can rotate that. You do sometimes run, when you're working in the sticker format, you can run into slightly weird things depending on exactly on how the model was modeled. But in this case, it's looking like we're going to be okay. So yeah, that cut out for a simple box like this, that probably saved us like a ton of time, maybe even 15 minutes without going through that whole UV mapping process.
And you didn't need to do that because it was such a simple, it was just that text, that's it. So
yeah, exactly. Great. And then I'm going to just get the rest of these models with the right material so they're all matching. So I'm going to, again, W is wand. I'm going to click the back of this Sham Dope, I for eyedropper.
And that eyedrop's the texture too, not just the color, right?
Exactly. Like so the entire mirror.
Texture. That's so cool.
Yeah, it's actually, I'm glad you asked that, because it's not it's much more powerful in terms of what
Yeah.
it's sampling. It's sampling its index of refraction, if it's translucent,
Yeah.
every property, how rough, how shiny or metallic it is, everything
Wow.
you've built into the material.
Yeah, so much more than just the color or the text like it would be in Illustrator.
Yeah, exactly.
That's really cool.
And then lastly, we'll do this box. So that actually, so I just did W there and picked this face.
Okay.
And only that face changed. So that would be definitely a time when you might rather come and select the whole box from this panel. Right. We'll sample that all the way around. And then I think that leg should be black.
Yes,
and match the rest of our mannequins.
Mark says, actually loving the ham in the box.
It's how we should buy ham. I don't know why we haven't.
Honestly, why don't we? New product idea.
Yeah, ham in a box.
Ham in a box.
Where's that leg? I should be naming my groups, and then you wouldn't be watching me try to find a leg. This has got to be it. Nope. No. All right, found it. Great. Yeah, so that eyedropper tool is really powerful, especially for getting a consistent scene and making sure all the work you do on because material work can take a while when you're really dialing in how,
making
all the properties.
Yeah, for sure.
Great.
Oh,
so
River Mike says ham does come in a box.
I've
never seen that. Learning all sorts of new things today.
That's great. Okay, so I think we'll do these with a couple levels of detail. We went all out on this head mop, so I think we should do one more like that with the UV map, and then do the rest of these quite a bit simpler, like we just did with Dash Poem. For now, I'm just going to pull in. I'm going to make a few more labels in Illustrator. Okay. I'm going to do Dame, Posh Dame.
Posh Dame.
All are trademarked.
Of course.
Of course. And then I think there's another simple one we could do. Oh, wait. No, we already did. Oh, yeah. So great. That's good. I'm going to export this as well.
Cool.
Export selection. And grab that surface.
If anyone is just joining us, Mark is working on creating some products, some fake products based off of anagrams of his company name, which is the Made Shop. And yeah, we're having a lot of fun branding these, playing around in Dimension and Illustrator. So feel free to ask questions, say hi.
Ooh. I feel like I just found a happy accident. That was definitely not what I meant to do. We can reset. I don't know if you can see the poster behind me. It's OMFG Co made that. It's been 0 days since our last happy accident.
I love it. And we just had one, so
we can
0
reset
days.
The clock. Oh yeah, that's cool.
That's really cool. Michelle says, this is the table I want to encounter at an outdoor marketplace. For sure.
I love farmers markets, but I don't know if anyone else does this. I love going to them, and I never ever buy anything because it's all just like soap and I don't know. So yeah, if this was at a farmer's market, I feel like you'd stop.
Oh, for sure.
Great. So then for the sham dope, I don't think we need a UV map this because it's so simple, but I'm going to do something a little more complex than just dropping the label on. Like we'll hop back to Illustrator now and make something a little more. I'm going to make this big, just so it doesn't get lost. So I'm just going to eyeball the rough area we have here, which looks like something like a 4:3 ratio, and give myself a little box in Illustrator. So this is maybe like halfway between doing a proper UV map and just doing a sticker.
Okay.
So let's just give ourselves a 4x3 box, scale it up, and then block out roughly the area where that hang tag is gonna go. I'm gonna switch mice. So I use a Wacom tablet for most things, and that's what I'm using again now. But when I'm in Dimension, I've got a mouse with a wheel. It's not necessary, but if you happen to have both, the 3D navigation with a wheel is very intuitive, because you're essentially rolling the wheel is like rolling the scene. And that's just a little thing I like to do. One thing that was bugging me yesterday, I didn't fix it, was that everything was center justified on the front. And I feel like this packaging wants to be a little more, I like the side panel a bit more with the left justified for this vibe. So I think I'm gonna work this one out a bit more in that style. Let's give ourselves a barcode. I'm just gonna copy to start. Actually, let's get it the same scale, so I don't have to scale everything I bring over.
Cool. Gus said hello, and Arabella says, didn't get a chance to watch a ton of yesterday's stream, but Mark, you're so great at educating and sharing your process.
Oh, thank you.
I agree. You are a natural.
I feel like the barcode can be up here going over the top of this.
Yes, I love that. That's perfect.
Yesterday we brainstormed copy in the chat, so that particularly for a tagline. So sham dope. That's the challenge. What's
tagline.
Our tagline?
Best taglines.
Head mops. We landed on our mops are mostly moist. I wouldn't say alliteration is required, but you know.
But it helps. It helps make a strong case. So
yeah.
Yes,
I also yesterday I grabbed a little cannabis leaf because we're doing this. I wanted this really generic, and so it's primarily just these somewhat forgettable or else machine readable typefaces, a really simple palette of nearly black and nearly white, and then the things like barcodes and trademarks. But then there was this little piece that I want to look at. Oh, sorry. When you zoom with something selected, you zoom to it. This line drawing of the head I really liked, and I felt like it made it clearer to me that this was, while it's referencing a very anti-design or design without designers vernacular, it's still, it has something special about it. And I feel like the line work drawings is what's going to do that for us. So I did exactly what I said not to do yesterday, which is pull in my object directly instead of holding Option.
So why? What was the issue?
Yeah, I'll repeat that. So I brought these in two different ways. The one on the left I just dragged in. The one on the right I dragged in holding Option, and I'm going to hop over to the outline view, and you can see that one came in essentially as an uneditable image. This one came in as proper vector line work. So we'll delete that, and then this is going to give us a more editable shape. So I'm just going to grab the leaf and lose the box.
Michelle says tagline, definitely not salad.
That's wonderful.
That's good.
All right. I don't know if we're going to top that. I'm putting it in right now.
Tony says green sheen herb machine.
Ooh, I like the rhyme.
Or not your grandma's salad. That's also Michelle.
I like definitely not salad better.
Yeah, it's really good.
And it has to be in quotes because that was part of our recipe.
Nice.
Yesterday I was talking a bit about recipes as they relate to inspiration and mood boards and things. And it's sort of our way to really like make sure we're looking for inspiration and doing that work to not just start in a void, and not, the almost the humility of starting with inspiration work. But of course you don't want to imitate. And so we gather things we like that are feeling right for the strategy, but then we sort of dissect them into their component parts and identify. And so like one of those things was literally quote marks, which shows up in a lot of bad packaging design. So we just sort of name these things that we then call ingredients, and they become a little bit more like just tools in your tool belt, and you build with them, and you're going to create something in the same vibe, but that's your own.
I love that. I love the word picture you have with that, of a recipe of like pulling different ingredients from different things that you were inspired by, but then you're creating your own dish. Like it's going to have its own taste and its own flavor. But yeah, it's just such a good picture. Green mop, green sail. Yeah. So far, definitely not salad. That's
pretty good.
That's the winner so far.
I'm going to reuse our copy from Head Mops, because for a body, we definitely shouldn't spend time doing body copy. Definitely not salad. Got a little paragraph, and then our line work. Where do you want to live? Actually, I'm going to check that package and see if there's paper behind.
Oh yeah.
The plastic, because it could actually go under the plastic inside, here, which I feel like with that overlapping would feel nice and sort of misaligned in a good way.
Yeah, definitely. Love my greens.
And then I was using a few other elements. Now that we have this working, I'm just going to do a lot of copy and pasting. But since we're doing a product lineup, I was thinking it would be nice to just number them. And I feel like that also plays, one of the things we were talking about is like stats are just so important in kind of capitalist vernacular or consumerist vernacular. Weights and numbers, things that, like, all of this feels very anti-human to me. Like it's not for you. So much of what we're surrounded by is not for us, and it's frustrating, honestly. And so while I do find it like amusing as an aesthetic to copy, I think on a broader level it's frustrating. Frustrating world to live in. That's a whole nother thing. And then I want to bring in the made shop name and some weight, and then I think we'll be good. This is gonna be over designed. All right, how much fake weed are we selling? It has to be in grams, right?
Yeah. I don't know how many grams oregano would be.
would do the trick.
I have no idea. Kyle says, is this part of the ShamWow product family?
That's pretty good.
So good.
All right, let's give ourselves some more room with less copy. Maybe. It'd be really funny to write something about CBD.
Yeah.
Which, I don't know. I know some people find that does something. I'm not one of them. All right. Again, this is more about packaging, about dimension than Illustrator. So I'm slightly rushing these layouts. I like
that inside,
Yeah. Although I think it should be black.
Christoph said it was that placement was neat when it was like vertical over the leaf. Placement.
Let's look at that again. Those happy accidents. It's where were we? It was way back.
Yeah.
Where are you?
There we go.
That overlapping, yeah, actually doesn't bother me.
Yeah. Carol says, I wonder if there's cannabis ipsum instead of
I'm sure
lorem
there
ipsum.
is. I'm sure there is. I'm like a little scared to Google that live, but
yeah, probably. Probably not a great idea.
all right, let's let this overlap it just a little bit.
Yeah, I like that.
That's cool.
Yeah, great idea,
I'm pretty
Christoph.
happy with that. Great. So then I'm not going to pull over this backdrop.
Okay, just the text and the
text. I'm going to lock that.
Drawing.
Grab this. And I'm just going to export this directly again using export selection. And we'll hop back to dimensions, see if my guess at the aspect ratio was close. All right, switching mice. And here's that sticker button. So once you have your object selected, place graphic on model.
Okay.
Here's our new asset. Where are you? I think it's on the back. Come to the front.
Oh yeah, there we go.
Yeah, we can see it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try this again.
Okay.
If it doesn't work, this will be a good time to show how the UV mapping works. There we go.
Oh, nice.
Go down a little. Yeah, so we're running into some of that because this is actually kind of cool, but it's not what we're after.
It looks very trippy.
I do want this to go under the plastic. I'm gonna leave that well enough alone for now, just to keep moving, and do the UV mapping on a different box. This is feeling good to me though, seeing this just as they repeat and you keep seeing those same few elements. So I think I'll do the UV mapping on the dope ham for those of you who didn't see it yesterday. I'm gonna grab the box only, not the screen, because I don't want a UV. Actually, yeah, no, I don't want a UV map for that. If I want to put I think a sticker on that plastic would be really cool. We'll see about that. But grab the box and then you come up to Object, Export UVs, and it's going to do a little bit of work. Yesterday I bumped this up to 4,000. I actually am going to bump it even higher today, and partly I'll show you why. This is the UV map we got yesterday, and so much of the resolution is dedicated to areas that aren't even going to be on the box, where all we're really using is this. So while 8,000 seems huge, to actually get like decent resolution, here you're gonna want it, and I'll just export that to the desktop. This takes a minute. I think let's look for a gold chain.
Yes. Oh, I almost forgot about the gold chain.
You haven't used stock. Oh yeah.
Oh, nice.
This is pretty good. The shape might be tricky to work with. Let's just do it. I'm gonna license that. And it should drop it into my last used library, which is the anagram oddity. So that's going to be ready for us once this finishes exporting. We can brainstorm some ideas for Posh to Aim taglines, also dash poem.
Okay.
While we're at it,
let's get some more taglines. You guys have been on it with the taglines so far, so let's see what you come up with.
I wish I always had an audience of clever people while designing that I could just throw to for like great copy.
Yeah.
It's such a different
right?
headspace for me, writing and designing.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can do both, but rarely at once.
Yeah. Do you guys usually do your own copy within your business, or do you have copywriters?
We don't have official copywriters, and sometimes we're working with clients who do, and we love that. When we have clients who don't, we actually offer to do it, even though it's not an official service, because it just, frankly, you can have a really beautiful design, and if the copy is bad, it's painful. And so, we like to write copy when we can. Naming's another thing that we just love to do, and that's something we sort of quote unquote officially offer. We didn't start there, but it's become one of our favorite things to do. And there's something more rewarding about building a visual identity around a name that we came up with. You just are attached to it maybe in a different way. I'm just going to put a barcode on this while we wait.
Michelle says, dash poem. What do these even say?
Michelle has had a few great taglines.
Michelle's had some great ideas.
I'm going to jot it down before we forget. Could you read that again? What does it even say?
Poem. What do these even say? And then your Jeremiah says, you'll need more than just your glasses. And then Kyle for Posh James says, get a leg up.
Oh, that's good.
It's really good. Yeah, Vudavel is saying all these products are the title of Mark's business made shop rearranged into different words. So they're all plays on the words. In case you're just joining now and you're like, what the heck are they talking about?
This bag is kind of the inspiration for the whole thing, including it gets a bit of that bodega vibe. These are the cheap plastic bags. We sell a nice Bagu version, but it was inspired by those cheap plastic ones. All right, I'm jumping around a little bit, but I'm just waiting on that UV map, which has exported. So I'll show you what that looks like.
Okay.
And that's going to open in Photoshop. Well, it's going to look a lot like what we did yesterday if you were here. I'm going to turn on that texture grid and resave it. Kind of cruising through this just for everyone who was here yesterday. And then I'm going to reapply the UV map itself with that texture grid to the box so I can see what's where. So I'm going to grab the box. And apply a graphic to the box. And the graphics I'm going to apply is actually that UV map with the grid turned back on. So this is just going to be temporarily, essentially for wayfinding, as we lay out in Illustrator. So initially this will come in as that decal, and that's over here under placement. If you switch that to fill, then it'll properly map that out over the whole box, and you can start to see like E3 and F3 are the bottom, front, edge. And so I'll hop back to Photoshop and find E3 and F3. Great. So it looks like that window, the way this is mapped, that window, that seam is like right at the edge of D3 and F3, which you can, I guess you can see the seam from where this turns the corner. So that's how we'll orient it. Basically, this area here is going to be our live area for putting all of our text when I bring this over to Illustrator. So I'm going to turn that off, grab the non-editable area, and just copy, Command A, Command C, and head back. Oh, too big to export.
Oh no.
All right, we'll work through the file system.
There we go. Ricky says, Posh Dame, build abroad. And then Christoph says, Mark, I love that poster behind you, which, yes, we mentioned that earlier. It's so good.
It's so good. I forget if I said the name, but OMFG Co.
OMFG cup.
designed
Okay.
and sold that
It's so good.
years ago. I'm updating Build Abroad because that has the alliteration, and I think it plays into the fact that you're only getting a piece.
You're just getting one part. Yeah. You got to buy all the rest of the parts separately.
Feels very consumerist even.
Yeah.
As a marketing strategy. Okay, so I exported that map. I would have just pasted it, but it was too big, and then we'll just place it. There we go. This is going to be twice the size now because I exported much larger than last time. Just want to find some area to work. All right, I'm going to lock that and then just give myself a rectangle for what amount of space we roughly actually have. I bet this is more or less even on the left and right hand side. So I'm going to draw a rectangle that comes just to here. Lock it. And then
some assembly required.
That's a great phrase. I feel like not the tagline, but that the box needs to say that.
It has to include that somewhere. Yeah.
Okay. So maybe I wonder if the dope ham should do the same thing we did with the posh dame where that wraps around.
Yeah, especially since that window's wrapping too. I feel like that fits really well.
Yeah. I'm going to send both of these layers to the back. Command Shift left bracket, if you don't know, and relock them.
And then right bracket to bring it to the front, right? Command Shift.
Yeah.
Right bracket.
Actually,
or is it?
I'm gonna. Sorry, no, you were right. I'm just thinking about where I want to put this text, and I think actually I don't want it to.
No wrapping.
Go over the wrap.
Okay.
I am just gonna give myself a line here though, because this line is essentially where that seam's gonna be.
Cool.
So we can center, or I think we actually don't want to center, as I was saying. And this is not posh dame. This is dope ham. Cool. What was our tagline? We didn't have one for dope hams, did we?
Did we? Remind us.
So.
I feel like there was something thrown out there, but I can't remember. I'm trying to look back in the chat. Let us know, you guys, if we had one or if we still need one. Maybe I'm thinking of the chain suggestions. So let's hear your best ham taglines.
All my elements over. This will be 3. And I want to use these elements in like roughly the same way from product to product, but not exactly the same way. I want it to be slightly haphazard, which is this is sort of a nice aesthetic to be after, because anything that's like wrong, you can just appeal
it's
to.
right. Yeah.
It being right.
Pig in the box.
Kind
of like a pig in a blanket, but it's in a box.
All right, that's the one to beat.
Okay.
It's gonna be tough. This is actually feeling great. This simply, I think we'll just need like some body copy and wait.
Yeah,
and
looks
then we're
good.
like, good.
And about
there's something instead of weight that like we could quantify around. I mean,
like
just something that's different than weight. I don't know. 1.
Yeah. Should you add the cook time? Like,
that would be fun. Yeah.
Like how?
Right,
I don't even know
and
what
play
they
into
would
that.
say.
The oven bit of this a little bit more.
Cook for 45 minutes at something degrees or something.
I like that.
Have about 20 minutes until the artist spotlight. So if you guys see above the chat, there's an artist spotlight tab. If you are interested in being featured or recommending someone for an upcoming stream, feel free to submit there and you may get featured in the future. I like this one. Ricky says, dope hams, meats from the streets.
That's really good.
That's really good.
It's right. It's dope. It's not.
It's dope.
This is not your grandmother's ham.
Yeah.
Maybe we can use both of these. Oh, you know what? That should be on a sticker.
Yes. Yes.
That's great.
That's
okay.
good. That's good.
So let's make this like super, what am I looking for? Zigzag.
Yes.
Okay. That's great.
That's really good. Bake for half an hour and then add frosting. Ham for the fam. That's what Kyle says. I still like this. Yeah, meats from the streets and pig in a box. Those are pretty clever.
I like that left justified in a circle because that's so wrong.
Yeah.
Actually, and I'm going to make this white. I feel like that's a little more shouty. Yeah.
Nice.
All right, so that will apply as a sticker. I won't bring that into the UV map because that UV map's only going to go onto the box.
Okay. If you were to
definitely has to be at a jaunty angle.
Yeah. If you were to just leave it there and drag it in, what would happen?
It's in this black area, which I think, I forget what they call it, non-editable area.
Okay, so it just wouldn't
basically
even show.
It won't show anywhere.
Okay.
Because the plastic is a different material, which would have a different UV map. But we'll just do it as a decal, and it'll save us time.
Yeah.
This might be my favorite layout we've made yet.
It's really good. Yeah, I love it. Again, I can see this at Urban Outfitters, you know?
I think we'll have to see if we can't get a partnership with them.
You might be able to after this. I feel like they'd be down.
So I'm going to grab this and copy and head back to Photoshop and paste that as a smart object into our UV map and align it up. As I was saying yesterday, if we were doing this for a real die line for printing, we'd have guides and margins and those things. But since it's for dimension, I think we can eyeball this stuff.
Yeah.
Gonna basically bake that in and then turn off everything else. Actually, before I do, I did a little thing yesterday. It's subtle and it's not critical, but it's a tip I often do when I'm emulating something that's printed, but it's not. So I've got this as a vector smart object. If you command click on it, it selects the transparency, so all the objects, and then I'm going to mask that over itself, which right now is doing nothing. But that mask layer, because the mask matches the content. Right. But now I can, because that's raster, the mask, you can go to the filter gallery, which you couldn't do on vector. And I'm going to do spatter on the mask. I have these settings fairly dialed, hit OK. And we'll see. So it's a little rough right now, but then if you go into your select and mask, you could slightly feather that, pull it in to kind of just like starve the ink at those edges ever so slightly. And just make it feel a little crappier than it is. Right. And then that is working really well on all of our display type, but it's kind of these lighter areas is like, it's a bit much. So then I'll just go back on the map with the mask and paint white over anything that's too small, and actually do it fairly roughly so that like some of it still drops out.
Sure. Yeah. That's a great tip.
Not necessary, but I don't have a thing for messing up type. And then the last thing we do is turn everything off except our art. And then we're gonna export this as a ping. Actually, I'm gonna export it as a JPEG because it's so big. And I'm already worried about dimension running a little slow.
Victor says swine and dine.
Swine and dine's good.
Yeah, so many good ones.
Going to the, so now I'm back in dimension. We've mapped the map, and I'm just going to replace that by clicking on this folder icon with the UV we just made. And if everything works right, it should all map beautifully.
Wow, look at that.
That's the fun part.
Yes, when you
when
see
all your
it.
work suddenly shows up.
Yes.
So yeah, we're close. I feel like the last thing I want to do is design a nice cover for the dash poem, and maybe for this plastic package.
Yeah.
How are we doing on time? Because I also want to make sure we have time to render.
Yeah, we have about 17 minutes until the artist spotlight, and then I almost wonder if you were able to get that done to render it during the spotlight, so then when we come back.
That's a great idea.
Yeah,
you said 17 minutes?
16 now.
Yeah.
Well, 17, yeah.
Great. That's a good render time.
Okay, cool. Yeah, if you're not able to get it done before then, it's fine, but we'll have a few minutes to kind of focus on something else, and then let it work in the background.
Yeah. So I'm going to slightly rearrange because I want the hand to be near the sham dope, but far from the mannequin head, just to have our black punctuating.
Yeah.
And then the mannequin head to be near head mops, as well as posh dame. If we had more time, I wanted to like put a few more body parts in boxes, like do the whole posh dame set.
Sure.
But
yeah.
Do that later. And then I want the tallest objects to be on the outside, so that's feeling pretty good.
George
you know what?
says,
go ahead.
Oh, George says spam elevated for about the ham too.
Spam elevated. Spam is actually a word we can make. For the made shop. The problem, I know our anagrams well. The problem is the leftover letters when you use spam don't make a word.
Oh,
and that's
really?
Why. Because you have to believe if there was any of these that involve spam, we would have done it.
For sure.
All right, that's a nice little vignette.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Dash poem. If I do say so myself.
It looks very good.
I'm letting my positive internal monologue through because usually the internal monologue is like, this looks like shit. This looks like
shit. Right.
So when I'm happy, I'll let that through.
Yes, as you should.
Cool.
Carol says that closing Photoshop can help dimension run easier sometimes.
Oh, that's a good call. And I don't think we're going to actually use any more UV mapping. So I think that's actually safe to do right now. Let's do it.
All right.
Just do a little saving. Thank you. So yeah, this, I think we can again eyeball. That worked fairly well on our sham dope, except for our like, this is, so post rationalization. I'm looking at this barcode, but I have to say post rationalization is a great skill because it actually goes hand in hand with happy accidents, because you get a happy accident, you like it, but it didn't come for any reason. And yesterday I was talking a lot about ideas before imagery and having, making durable design, but sometimes you do just make something that's cool. And at that point you have to post rationalize it. And honestly, if you were looking at a barcode super high on oregano, I feel like it would look like that.
Sure.
So
and I kind of
now
feel
we
like it fits with this, like, you can't actually buy these products anyway. So it's kind of like there's a
couldn't be
barcode,
scanned.
so you should be able to buy it, but you actually can't. Yeah.
Alright. That aspect ratio looks roughly, it's wider, isn't it? This is like just a test I'm doing to see how good my eye is.
I do that with the align tool sometimes, like try to align something before I actually align it, so then
and see how far
good
it
I am.
hops.
Yeah.
Yeah. The bigger the hop, the worse you feel about yourself.
Yeah.
I love that. Dash poem. So I feel like we should, although typically you wouldn't have a poem on the cover of a book, I'm going to do this just to get the idea across, which we have a Morse code font.
Nice.
Yeah, let's go larger, quite a bit larger really. And then jump our leading up a lot, even more.
Nice.
All right. It'd be great to use a real poem for this, but just have it as an Easter egg for all of us. Anyone have a favorite poem?
Oh, favorite poems. Let us know. I feel like a Shel Silverstein or something would fit well with this kind of funny, playful, yeah. But let's see what everyone says.
Break some rules and left justify this. Feels more literary to me.
Yeah.
And then this got a little overscaled. I'm gonna outline it. And then maybe this doesn't have any writing on the front. Let's leave it more cryptic and just bring in the made shop, almost like the publisher. I'm gonna do this one like a little better aligned. What number are we at? 5?
Yeah, somewhere around there.
That's, I'm going so fast. I'm gonna fix everything afterwards again. But
yeah. Yeah,
I don't hate it.
Are you gonna post these on your Instagram once they're finished?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay,
I will.
Where can we find you? The Made Shop? That's the handle?
Yeah, it's the Made Shop with dots between each word. The dot made dot shop.
Okay, cool. I'm sure Vudaval will drop it into the chat too, but make sure to go follow Mark and see when these things are all tidied up and finished. And yeah, it'll be fun to see the very final product.
Selection.
Lindsay says her favorite poem is This Is Just to Say by William Carlos Williams.
All right, let's quickly try to get that in.
William Carlos Williams, that's such a good name for a poet. It's just like,
right?
So good. Yeah, Road Not Taken by Robert Frost. That's a good one too.
That's a good one. Oh, great. And I outlined this, of course.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so once you outline text, you can't edit it anymore.
Yeah, right? And that is irreversible.
Yeah.
As far as I know, if anyone knows differently.
Yeah. Yes, thank you. Vudaval dropped the madeshop.com website into the chat and then Instagram as well.
Great. I think I want 2 stanzas of this, but not all of the stanzas. That'll feel poem-like.
Yeah. And Twitter, you're getting all the links, Vudaval.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Oh, that's cool. I actually like the scale too.
Mm-hmm.
It really should be dash poems, but it just won't. That doesn't work. So, all right. This looks like a literary journal that you could buy at a bodega.
Yes.
Great. Export this. And hop back. Here's the test. All right. Sometimes it's models are just slightly unpredictable, especially actually the better made the model it is, like when it has curves and things. So I'm wondering if this has just happened. It's again on the back. I grab it again. Let's see. So before I grabbed it with the magic wand, now I'm going to grab it from the panel. Sometimes I've found that can help a placement. Just a little tip in case you run into that same. Yep.
There we go.
So then to rotate, you grab that top item, which or a little handle.
Yeah.
And then scale is from any of these widgets. Shift.
Cool.
All right, I was close.
Yeah,
close on
looks
the
good.
aspect ratio. We never brought our sticker in. Let's do that quickly.
Oh, the hand sticker, yeah.
The switching mice thing is
nice. Yeah, that's an essential part of this design.
Yeah, I think so. Might be. I have a feeling it's going to be my favorite part once we get it on here. Okay, gonna grab. So that box screen sticker. Oh yeah.
Nice.
Kind of want this in front of the ham just to get that layering. Maybe it's even.
Kind of wrapped around.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah. That's cool. All right, so last thing, and then we'll render while we do the artist spotlight, is to do something on this package. I think it should be super minimal.
That's a plastic covering over the booklets?
Yeah, and actually, I wonder if these should be metallic. I feel like,
and you know, kind of rip it open. Yeah.
Which is great that all the food items are in like flimsy packages. The poem gets properly
kind of like Pokemon cards or baseball cards or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
I love
that. This, we haven't really done any material work, but we did some yesterday. I'm going to go to the starter assets, and then this first box icon. This circle icon is our materials. And there's a couple, just do metal. So this is going to really change. Once you have anything metallic, it's going to change it's going to reflect your light, your environment map, literally. So, and I'll actually I'll hop over to our lights and do like this one of the forest. So now we have different lighting like surrounding our scene. So that because this is reflective, it's actually showing that scene, which is just a really nice detail.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Gonna undo that though. Yeah, I feel like metal's good for these. And then let's just get this guy too that I pulled out earlier, and we'll use the eyedropper for that. I feel like almost just a barcode on this would be cool, which we already have that asset. So let's bring that in. Let's see what this looks like. So I'd be curious, anyone in the chat, if there's something you think might be cool on this packaging. I want it to be really minimal and mysterious though. Like you can't read it until you. And then I'm going to hit, so there's a key, I don't think I've talked about it yet, backslash in Dimension, which when you're in this live working window starts to give you a quick render. And I'm hitting that now to see how this metal texture is playing with our barcode, because from the preview, I don't love it. We might. Oh, it actually just depends on what angle we are with our light. It's nice on black. You know what? I think I'm going to go back to white pouches for these, just for consistency in our scene. But that was at least a fun digression for working with materials.
Carol says, what if the barcode was in Morse code? And then Mark says, vacuum sealed words.
That's pretty good.
So good.
Oh, right. We could put the quote, the tagline on this, because we didn't want any other writing on the front. So maybe just vacuum seal words.
Like
Is there something like a little less literal vacuum seal word that almost?
Yeah, that idea, but a little bit less like literal.
Yeah. Another interesting tack could be like the break for emergency. If there is some sort of like, just picturing an emergency where you might really need poetry badly.
Right.
Is funny. So I'm going to go to this plastic material instead. Yeah, I feel like that's just more on brand.
Yeah.
And it's going to let us keep our light. The angle I want to be at is going to, with the light we have, was just going to react badly. And, I do like how simple this is. I might just leave that or put the number on it. Let's put one more number on it and call this one good.
Sure.
I'm gonna hit backslash again to turn that off, which is, as I mentioned a couple times yesterday, useful. Otherwise, you're really gonna slow down your scene.
Your Jeremiah says, open in distress.
That might be worth.
SOS in Morse code, Michelle says.
That's funny.
That's really funny.
I put this on the wrong pouch.
Oh no.
That is, speaking of happy accidents, there's something.
I like that. Yeah.
Let's look at it in the whole scene and see if it's too much, but it's a little too much.
It definitely draws your eye.
Yeah, probably in a bad way. You start losing all the other details. It'd be a fun package to actually get, but I think it's fighting. Let's just get it scaled like the rest of its friends.
River Mike says, take 3 and call me in the morning.
So I just lost hold of the decal, which is fine. I'm going to show you how to get back to it though.
Okay.
So first you're going to want to pick the right pouch and then go into the arrow. And then here you see the stacks and you can, this is helpful. So the plastic is bottom, it's our material. Then we have our barcode graphic. And then once I've selected this, now I'm back to moving this. So if you do lose a sticker, I'm doing it again. Then you can easily get back to it. It's because Okay.
Cool.
I feel like this is ready, maybe to render.
All right, that's perfect timing. We're ready to do our spotlight, so I'll let you start that, and then we can hop over for a few minutes and come back and have our finished render.
Wonderful. I had these stage curtains. I wonder if we'll keep them. I'll stop talking.
No, you're fine. I just gotta, yes. Cool. Are we good? Okay, cool. So our artist spotlight today is Colby Kleitz. And actually I met Colby. He did a live stream on XD maybe a year ago. This was when we were live streaming in person in the Adobe office. And so I had a stream before his, and maybe Voodoo Val can link his stream in the chat because I remember it was really cool. I think he was working on an app. I forget exactly what the app was, but I remember it was great. And so if you guys want to watch the replay for that, I'd recommend it. But yeah, here's his work. He's a graphic designer and in Florida, and would recommend following because he when you follow someone on Behance, whenever they do live streams, you get notified. And I think if we look here on videos, yeah, he does quite a bit of live streaming, and so you'll get notified when he's going live. So definitely check his work out, give him a follow. We can kind of click through and see some of the projects that he's worked on. So this was for a music festival. I love this. These colors are so fun. They feel so beachy to me, which makes sense since this is in Tampa. Yeah, beautiful work. Love these waves, love the textures.
Really great.
Yeah, these musical symbols, so fun. Including all of his typography colors, the mock-ups. Super, super fun. There was another one. Let me see. When I was going through, I loved this. I love Johnny Cash, so I was like very into this this box set that he created.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so grungy and so yeah, so just classic. I love it.
It's very cool.
I love these silhouettes. The layout and this texture and this the backgrounds, and beautiful beautiful layouts, and all this memorabilia. I love this too. I think this is really cool when you're working on your portfolio to be able to show your process like this. So showing the sketch work, showing how everything develops, and even like he has these videos here of him designing the covers and the jackets. And I think this is so cool. If you can show this, clients love to see this kind of thing. They love to like get a peek behind the scenes and see how you work. And so yeah, if you can include these kinds of things in your portfolio, I feel like Behance is a great place to kind of put this stuff up there. And it also just helps other designers to like learn from you too. So I love
Yeah,
this.
it's a really nice. I always approach it from that side of other designers, but peeking in and sharing and not. It's that's really cool.
Yeah, we all love to see process, and so I love that like openness and being willing to share your process. So are there any of these that you want to jump into? Any other ones?
Sorry, I was just getting the rendering going. So
no problem. No problem.
That UI mock-up just there in the middle with the 3 phones.
Yes.
Doggy data.
Let's take a look at that. Doggy data.
Just caught my eye.
Oh, cool. This is on Adobe Creative Jam live.
Nice. Cool. I like that kind of like Bolorama, the way data's treated. It's really nice.
Yeah. Yeah, I love this.
Yeah, it's got a nice like atomic 50s vibe.
Yes, yeah. Aw. I feel like this should be an app for sure. This is something that people would love.
It's very cool.
Oh, here we go. This is like a little video showing all the different features. Cool. Yeah, I love this one.
Yeah, it's very nice.
Let's see. Oh, I think this was the one that he was working on in those live streams. So yes, it looks like, oh wait, maybe we didn't get the link to those yet. But I'm sure if you Google Colby Behance Adobe Live, it'll come up. So yeah, it was a hurricane preparedness app, which makes sense being in Florida. So really beautiful work.
Yeah, love it.
Yeah. Yeah, being able to see like, people saying things are still available.
Supplies. Mm-hmm.
This would have been
That's
nice.
Super.
The beginning of quarantine for all of us.
Yeah.
I
wonder if that played into this at all.
Yeah, I think this was actually before. Here. This was before. Oh, okay. Yeah, this was last year when we were all still in person. So yeah, I don't know, but it would have been handy. Really nice typography. This little logo is so nice too.
Yeah, I really like it.
Yeah.
So simple.
Yeah, yeah.
Conveys it all.
Yeah, it really does.
Essentially the Red Cross, I'm assuming, with that very stylized vortex.
Here you go. This is where
it's a good name too.
Yeah, this is where you would be able to watch him design this live. So make sure to check that out. Oh yeah, here we go. Back in the old studio. Yeah, so this is awesome too. I feel like too, this kind of design like this is something where when people are using this app, right, they're going to be probably panicked, probably stressed. So having this where it's like super easy to navigate, super clean, just like very like clear, here's the information that you need, is very comforting to people in that kind of situation. So like that was very thought through.
Yeah, this is beautiful work.
Yeah. It's amazing. Let's see. Let's click into a couple more. Some nice mock-ups there. Mm-hmm. This is for a brewing company, Cigar City Brewing. Very fun and playful, colorful, bright.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the palette.
Oh, cool.
It's great.
Yeah, this looks like it was the real deal billboards. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, if not, that's a great way to do a mock-up.
Yeah, yes.
Like slightly obscured, because you can. I love mocking up out of home advertising. It just feels so larger than life. But then I do feel like you can spot those in a portfolio. Like, but did they really run a campaign out of home?
That looks like it was very legit. Yeah.
That looks super legit. And whether it was or not, I feel like on my next mock-up, I'm going to take a slightly less perfect.
I love that. Yeah.
Just sell it with some power lines. Yeah, you won't question it. Why would anyone have the power lines? I love it.
Yeah. This is great too. Some Band-Aid packaging.
Very cool.
Oh, that was a sprint over one weekend.
Yeah. Speaking of die lines.
Yeah, there you go.
Here's a real die line. But I do feel like the UV maps really get close to approximating working on a real die line.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it looks like he had the actual packaging and then he kind of created his own, I think. It looks like he sketched it out here and then
and am I right that this is a redesign? Or are we looking at before and after?
Yes, this is a redesign. So
this is a big improvement.
In one weekend, randomly assigned the flexible fabric bandage package and tasked with redesigning it. So challenges like that are great to build your portfolio too. If you don't have as much clients right now and you kind of have downtime to like give yourself little challenges like this to boost your portfolio, or even just like work on skills and develop some new skills. I think that's a great thing to do right now.
Definitely. I mean, that's more or less what we're doing today.
That's true. Yeah, so here's the original, and then this was the updated packaging. So even printing it out and putting it on there is cool.
Very cool. The Band-Aid wrapping around the corners, I think, is the smartest move here because it's so I mean, it speaks to how a Band-Aid actually works across a, odd surface, and like that. Just, I feel like that's great.
Ties to the name too, that it's flexible.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like wrapping. Yeah, really good.
Yeah, clever move there.
Very clever. Cool. Maybe one more. Let's see. Maybe this.
Yeah, great.
I'm curious about this food forward.
This is gonna be perfect. Our render's at 91%.
Oh, perfect. So. This was great timing. So this is for a brand, for a nonprofit. And it's logo, brand assets, and visual identity system. So some nice photography here. Nice. Oh, these are business cards.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. I love this food forward. So it has this orange, and it's also an arrow, which is
continuing
really
on to the back.
Yeah, continuing on. It's really nice.
I feel like business cards, as they become less and less necessary, it's a nice place to have more and more fun.
Yeah, totally.
They are more of a luxury item, so you may as well have fun with them.
Yes, make them very memorable. Yeah. Nice. So, okay, this was before, so it was a redesign.
Another redesign.
Wow, it's so much more clean now, and so much better.
It's great. It opens up a question. I always wonder when we rarely do redesigns, but definitely from time to time. And then I always struggle in a portfolio of whether to show the before or not.
Yeah.
But it is, I think it's quite effective here.
It's very impactful to see how far it came and what he was starting with when he was, starting out the project. So
yeah.
Logo. This must be the mood board right there, inspiration board. Another one. Oh, cool.
That's speaking of I'm getting to structures of portfolio, but that your final image, I feel like always you should have some special weight, and if it can be sort of a summary or a send off or a clever little button, it's just a nice. There's, I guess, just weight that whatever you kick off with, you're obviously paying attention to, but when we redesigned our site, we spent a lot of time thinking about what's our final image going to be for
what are people
going
to leave on, and what's going to remain in their mind, what's going to be the last thing that they see. I think that's really smart.
Yeah, but those volunteers with the thank you there, like, really feels, and it's almost thanking you as a viewer. That's a nice bit of meta.
It's good.
Meta presentation.
Yeah. Well, go follow Colby. He has lots to share with you guys, and make sure to watch his when he goes live through Behance. And again, if you're interested in being featured or having a friend be featured, you can do so. Recommend someone in the artist spotlight that's right above the chat. So cool. We can hop back. We'll see this final render. We have a couple more minutes. So any last questions that you guys have, make sure to ask them while you can. And we'll just have fun in these last few minutes.
Great. So here's the render. I'm still in Dimension, and that's finished. I did it at a low quality, and that, for reference, the amount of time we just spent looking at that great portfolio was how fast a complicated scene like this running at low takes. So it takes a minute. Once we're done, I'll re-render it at high. And the big difference is all of the tones, like if you squint at low and high next to each other, there'll be no difference in like the value of whites or reds or anything like that. It'll be more like, you'll see some of this noise that's happening back here behind plastic. That would be gone in a higher res. And a little more, you'll see more nuance in shadows, like bounce back and things like that. But low is a great approximation. And I'm gonna open this in Photoshop now, which Photoshop is not open, which is probably why this has been working at all. And I just want to show you, for anyone who wasn't here yesterday, the way a dimension export, some extra layers they give you in Photoshop that are really helpful for doing any final compositing, which maybe we'll get into, like bring that mop back as we have the tail end of time,
Yeah.
we can do some final touches in Photoshop.
Yeah, cool. We have about 10 minutes, so.
Great.
Yeah.
So there we are. So here we are with that render in Photoshop. And the really great thing is these additional layers. So I'm going to turn on this, and there's a couple, I'll run through them, starting with depth information. So this gives you just a grayscale. We're in a really shallow scene here, so it's not particularly helpful. But this might, if you're comping and if you had, I don't know if I talked about this actually, depth of field. This is another great thing. I think yesterday we looked at the camera and its field of view, but you can turn on focus, which I've done. And so if it's off, everything is going to be in focus. But if you turn it on, you'll get an actual real depth of field. You can set the focus point to an object.
Yeah.
And then everything in front of it or far behind it is going to blur. And I had it on for this. It's such a shallow scene. You're not going to see any significant blurring, but it adds just a touch of realism to it. And especially if you're doing a product shot like this, it's funny how imperfection is so much of what sells reality. I mean, we were talking about it with that out-of-home billboard mock-up, but part of what immediately we knew that was a real out-of-home is because it had some imperfections. It had wires in front of it. And so depth of field, noise, all of those things are things that help sell. And actually, I'll show you one final tip I do, speaking of imperfections, but I'll go through the rest of these layers. Object selection mask. So this is color-coded by object, and it's actually kind of a rad little graphic,
it's really cool. The colors, so pop arty.
But yeah, it's nice because then just using the magic wand tool with a low tolerance, you can select any piece, and that'll give us, like when we want to put the mop back into this box, we're gonna be able to mask that really easily. Same thing with the ham. And then the final thing is material, which is really similar to the object selection, but obviously just if you're using different materials on the objects, it's going to be a little bit different. So for compositing, that's great. And yeah, I feel like we should bring in the mop.
Yes, we love the mop.
It really, where are you? I think this is it. Cool. Yeah, so this, I honestly, out of everything that I looked for in 3D models, a mop was the only thing I couldn't find. And so that is something
it's kind of shocking based off of everything else that they have.
Yeah, you would think if you could find a joint and a ham,
they would have a mop.
Find a mop. So let's see.
Oh, speaking of, we forgot to put the chain and the tattoos on the hand.
Oh.
But later. We'll see the final project.
Yeah.
Once you add those things, we'll see those finishing touches.
Yeah. Great. So yeah, so for this compositing right now, I'm going to use that object selection layer. I'm going to pick this window on the right layer. It's a little messier than I want.
Howard says time to model and sell 3D mops.
Right? This is a giant untapped potential.
A huge market. Yeah.
So then I just threw a mask on my mop group. I'm going to unlink it and pull this in. And we'll have to manually get those glasses back. So that's one thing. We ran into this yesterday as well, because there's actually a piece of plastic, even though it's translucent and we can see through to the fake glasses, real glasses, fake nose.
Yeah.
The way it interprets it is like you're not going to get the object mask for anything that's behind there. And then I feel like we should also put the mop back on this model's head.
Yes, I loved that.
Scale it up a little. gonna work here first. Yeah, so what I did yesterday, I just added a mask. Started painting out, getting some bangs. I feel like you definitely need bangs. I did this really rough, and it was actually fairly effective for how rough it was.
It's a nice little bob.
Yeah, there's a shadow that's getting masked, which is ruining the illusion. Turn that off. And then, so I went wide on this. So then to clean that back up, I'm actually going to go back to those additional layers and grab the material and grab the mannequin. So you see how helpful these are when you're compositing. You're not having to do any selections.
So nice.
And then I'm going to invert that selection. If you don't know, that's Command-Shift-I. It inverts any selection, and then go back to my mask and paint. Change our color to white. Paint back in right up against that. That's close.
Pretty good.
Let's jump it over a pixel. Oh, I should have, while that was masked, clean that up. I mean, there's some finessing and a little drop shadow we'd want along the edge of the bangs, but I feel like that's getting close.
Yes.
And then the other thing here, so we're going back behind the plastic, and I feel like let's mask this with just a touch of gray.
And we only have just a minute or two left, which is crazy.
Great. Well, we got the mop in the box.
Look at how much you did, though. I can't believe you did this in 2 hours. Like, yeah, less than 2 hours. It's very impressive.
Get quite this far.
I didn't either. It's very ambitious, and you did so well.
I'm happy. The one thing that's bugging me is all that nice work we did on our poem journal is not seen. So I think if I was to continue with this, I'd maybe copy another one of those and maybe angle that up against the display.
Yeah,
there's probably a few other things that I would play with.
But you did a great job.
Fairly happy with this.
Yes. And definitely go follow Mark on Instagram and see the final product. We didn't have our schedule slide earlier. If we have it now, we could show that. Otherwise, we can just do a couple of final tweaks. Looks like we do, but I can't see it for some reason. Let me see. There we go. Okay, so we have streams that you can watch the replays of from this morning. At 7:30 was Creative Encore. 9 o'clock, there was a Photoshop Daily Creative Challenge with Paul. 9:30, there was Drawing and Painting with Rick. 11:30, Julia had a Illustrator Daily Creative Challenge. Make sure to check that out if you're interested in joining the challenge. And then Mark, we had a stream with Mark. You can definitely watch the full replay of this or yesterday's stream if you missed it. And then right after this, there's going to be an XD Daily Creative Challenge with Howard. At 2:30, there's a draw along with Kyle. And then at 3, there's Rework It with Claudia and Jesus. So yeah, make sure to check those out and stick around. We can go back and just look at this beautiful work for just another minute or two. But yeah, so sorry, you were mentioning the things that you were going to adjust moving that brochure so that we could see the text a little bit better.
Yeah, I think so. I had thought I might want to tier this up, like build some little red boxes or things like that, just to get some height variation. Although there's something about this like Last Supper lineup that I actually like, and it gives us some nice negative space for some.
Yes, I love this collect them all too. This is great.
Yeah, I mean, right.
It's so good, so good.
Great. Well, yeah, this was a ton of fun. It was great chatting with you, Ellie.
So great. Thank you so much for all of your wisdom. And go follow the Made Shop, see their incredible work, and see this final piece once it's all finished. And make sure to stick around for the rest of the streams. We'll see you guys soon.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.